Mason Jennings, private detective. Starring Tim Riker as Mason Jennings. Co-starring Carrie Holman as Sabrina Storm. Cap Sullivan as Lieutenant Frank Stillman. Linda Mitchell as Patsy Willis. Thomas Cutter as Dr. Carl Willis. Victor Nelson as Kyle Davis. And introducing Ramona Cooper as Wanda Willis. Episode 2, Part 1, The Woman in Gold.
This episode of Mason Jennings is brought to you by Homestead Canned Soups. Are you hungry, folks, and time is tight? Want a supper that feels just right? Then listen closely and you will see the perfect answer is happy as can be. It's the easy dinner for your family.
Are you hungry, folks, and time is tight? Want a supper that feels just right? Then listen close, and you will see the perfect answer, happy as can be. Homestead canned soups, oh so grand, the finest flavors in the land. For a quick and hearty meal, it's Homestead you'll feel. Homestead canned soups, the taste of home in every can. Homestead canned soups.
So the next time you're at the grocery store, reach for Homestead and ask for more. That's Homestead Canned Soups, the taste of home in every can.
Broadcasting over WAM, and this comes to you direct from the Edison.
It had been 6 months since my last case. Carol Lee, her web of lies, and the lives that followed. It was Thursday, December 5th, 1946. The window in my office was frozen shut and iced over from the bitter winter cold. For the last 3 days, the snowstorm had slowed Chicago City to a crawl. The steam radiator clunked and rattled as the boiler worked overtime trying to keep the building above freezing. The coffee had just finished brewing. The phone started ringing as I filled my cup. It had been several minutes since the phone rang. Something had to be keeping her. I had started to stand up when Sabrina opened my office door. That was a long phone call. Must have been important.
That was Dr. Carl Willis, the curator of the Metropolitan Museum. Someone broke in and stole a painting worth over $200,000.
Why didn't he call and report it to the cops?
Oh, no, absolutely no cops. He said the painting was on loan from another country. If they find out it's been stolen, it would cause a big international scene. He wants to meet you at the Regent Ballroom tonight at 8.
8 o'clock. I better get ready to go now.
I'll be here when you get back.
Are you sure? Wouldn't you rather be in your own apartment?
Sure I would, but with the weather the way it is, I'm better off staying here.
Are you going to be all right? I've spent plenty of nights here alone. I learned this 10-story building can be a lonely place at night.
Don't worry, Mason. When you leave, I'll lock the door behind you. I've kept a couple of blankets in the closet just in case, and I'm glad I did. If it's okay with you, I'll sleep on the sofa here in your office. It's warmer here than in the front office, and I can make some coffee. It'll help keep me warm, and the radio over in the corner will keep me company.
At least tell me what you're going to put. Andy, why no, but what's this special? What are they going to
Okay, Sam. You know where I'll be. Be careful, kid. You know I'd be lost without you. As I walked out of my office, I heard Sam turn the lock on the door. She wasn't in any danger. I've had my office in the same place for the last 5 years. A red brick 10-story job with a history of its own. The Arthur James Building, located on 445 Wells Avenue between Harrison Place and Park Boulevard, Suite 708. It was a 40-minute drive to Regent Ballroom on a good night, and this was far from a good night. The roads were jammed with buses and cars. No one was going anywhere in a hurry. I could barely move. It was snowing. Hard. I was fighting to see the dim shape of the cars in front of me. It was almost a total whiteout. I couldn't see more than just a foot or two in front of me. The cars were starting to leave deep ruts in snow that was piling up the road. It wasn't going to take much longer to bring things to a total stop. It took the better part of 2 hours to make that 40-minute drive. By the time I made it to the Regent Ballroom, it was 7:30. I was glad I left as early as I did. Having the time to look things over before a meeting was a habit. The Regent was no dive like the Crown Royal. The rich and famous people go to the Regent, and like any other place, it has its share of underworld deals and the entitled. The Regent is Chicago City's version of the Starlight Ballroom in New York. Looking in from the door to the right is the bar, 100 feet long, lined with mirrors and shelves of liquor. The ends of the bar are hand-carved maidens holding gold-gilded goblets. In front is the dance floor, a 100-foot square mosaic of detailed patterns that formed golden stars spread across the floor. To the left are tables covered with white and gold cloth. There were booths and elevated sections for the food that wrapped around the dance floor. The second level is held up by 20 carved wood columns inlaid with gold leaf and mother of pearl. Up there is a gourmet restaurant serving high-class food for those rich enough to buy it. The ceiling is an oversized skylight designed to resemble the Eiffel Tower, from which hang the oversized crystal chandeliers lighting the ballroom below. As I looked around, I saw a face I knew. Just then, my attention was drawn to the stage on the right end of the dance floor. There was a familiar sound. That gorgeous redhead, Ginger Crawford. She has a voice as smooth as silk and smoky as the $5 cigars the rich men smoke. I found myself a table near the door and with a full sight of the stage. I could tell it was Dr. Willis when he walked in. A tall, thin man with glasses. He was wearing a brown striped suit that had fallen out of fashion 20 years ago. His face was wrinkled and sported a white, well-groomed goatee and mustache. I watched him search the room for a minute before I waved him over.
Good evening, Mr. Jennings.
Dr. Willis, please sit down.
Thank you. I trust your secretary, Miss Storm, informed you of my situation.
I wouldn't say informed. Briefed would be a better term. Why don't we start from the beginning? Sam told me this painting is on loan from another country. Which one?
I'm sorry. I'm not at liberty to say.
Good night, Dr. Willis.
No, stop. Wait. I mean, don't leave. Please, sit back down. I'll tell you whatever you need to know.
Before we go any further, I get $800 a day plus expenses. It's $500 up front before I do anything. Sam told you that on the phone.
Yes. I have your $500 retainer right here. I had to test you, Mr. Jennings. There are few people I would trust to help me. If you don't help me recover the painting, I fear my life may be on the line.
Let's start again. Where is the painting from?
It happens to belong to a very wealthy man in Europe. All right. It's a Gustav Klimt portrait from 1907 of Adele Lach-Bauer, a prominent woman in Vienna. Painted with gold and silver, it belongs to a very important European family. It's been insured for over $3 million.
$3 million? Sabrina said it was worth 200 G's.
I'll be as plain as I can with you, Mr. Jennings. If it was discovered to be stolen, the Metropolitan Museum would be held responsible. I had to be sure that you are as trustworthy as your reputation suggests. I have to be very, very careful with whom I place trust. This is a very serious matter, dealing with a piece of missing art worth $3 million and the possibility of causing an international scandal. This must be dealt with as quietly as possible.
Who else knows the painting is here on loan?
No one. Just me. It arrived yesterday. I opened the crate, then I had to deal with the museum issue. I locked the crate and the painting in my vault, and this morning both were missing.
I need to inspect that vault, as well as the rest of the museum and anyone the museum employs.
Yes, of course.
I'll be at the museum at 8 o'clock sharp.
I'll expect you then.
I took the last drink of my coffee, slipped on my hat, and left Dr. Willis sitting at the table. As the door closed behind me, I heard Ginger's soothing voice calling me back. It had stopped snowing. There were a dozen men with shovels clearing the streets of snow. I stood and watched as they tossed shovels full into dump trucks that slowly rolled beside them. I wanted to check something out. I was sure Dr. Willis was telling me the truth, just not all of it. Something wasn't adding up. The Metropolitan Museum was only a couple of blocks away from the Regal Ballroom. I went to take a look around the outside while no one was there. By the time I walked back to the Regent, they had cleared the streets, making it a quick drive back to my apartment. Chicago City was in the grip of a big freeze. The weather report said 30 below. As I drove to the museum, my car heater was only able to clear a small area of the windshield. Luckily, there weren't many cars on the road. The cold weather was keeping most of the city at home. Even though I had on my gloves, holding the steering wheel was freezing my hands. By the time I made it to the Metropolitan Museum, I was ready for a hot cup of coffee. I started knocking on the door. I had knocked for several minutes before a guard opened up.
May I help you, sir? The museum doesn't open until 10.
I'm here to see Dr. Willis.
I'm sorry, you'll have to come back when the museum is open.
Listen here, pal. I'm here to see Dr. Willis. He told me to meet him at 8 a.m. I arrived at 7:55 and started knocking on the door. It's 8:01. How about you let me in so I can keep my appointment with your boss?
Dr. Willis didn't say anything to me. What is your name?
I handed him one of my cards. Mason Jennings.
Mason Jennings, Private Dick. I don't see your name on my clipboard here. As a matter of fact, I don't see anyone's name on here. If your name isn't on the clipboard, I can't let you in. Come back in a couple of hours when we open.
Okay, here's how this will happen. You're going to let me in to see Dr. Willis, or you are going to have a very, very bad day that will end up with you in the hospital. I was about to clean his clock when...
Here now. What's all this about?
This Private Dick here says he has an appointment.
Yes, I've been expecting him. Well, don't just stand there. Let him in.
As I stepped into the warm air of the museum, I had an involuntary shiver that rocked my shoulders. First thing that hit me was the smell. There was the usual museum aroma of mustiness, like old books, dust, and perhaps a faint whiff of turpentine. And something else, a sweetness, too cloying for my taste, like cheap perfume trying to hide the stink of a back alley. Walls stretched up higher than a dame's expectations, all painted white, like they were trying to bleach the soul out of the place. I followed Dr. Willis to his office, or maybe library would be a better word.
Come back next week for part 2 of The Woman in Gold.